What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining me today on another episode on this channel. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also ding that bell for notifications so you'll know when I put out future videos. In today's episode, we have to talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And I think finally, just finally, we have a reason why this movie is so hated. At least according to this guy. So, survey says political beliefs may explain why fans don't like The Last Jedi. Yes, it is politics. Now, back in the old days when I was growing up, politics had nothing to do with movies. It was just if you liked the movie, you liked the movie. If you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the movie. There wasn't any politics at play. And according to Rian Johnson, if you didn't like this movie, you were racist and you were sexist. So let's dive in and see what this survey actually has to say. What is the true reason why people don't like The Last Jedi and who didn't like The Last Jedi? So let's jump right into this and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. A survey on the Star Wars fandom has found that political beliefs could have been the reason why so many fans dislike Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Given how divisive The Last Jedi was, it should come as no surprise that Star Wars fans have some pretty strong opinions about the 8th installment in a long-running franchise. Yeah, a lot of fans have a lot to say about this movie. And Rian Johnson's goal was to pretty much divide the fan base. There's video out there on YouTube. He says that's the way he likes to make films, have half the fans on one side, half of the fans on the other side. And he did a great job of doing that because he created the most garbage movie in Star Wars history. Just calling it as I see it. And it's going to go on here to say, now, according to a survey conducted by social scientist Mark H. White II, there may now be tangible proof after he found that Star Wars fans that tend to have sexist and conservative beliefs and a negative attitude towards political correctness also tend to dislike Star Wars: The Last Jedi. To understand White's findings better, a bit of background on his survey is necessary. The previous phase of his research found that there are 3 main types of Star Wars fans. Prequel skeptics, fans of the original and sequel trilogies, but not the prequels. Saga lovers, who rate the entire franchise favorably. And Star Wars and The Last Jedi disowners who dislike Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, myself, I don't think I fall into any of those categories. I think they're missing something very, very huge that's not on here. So I like the original trilogy and I like the prequels. I do not like the sequel trilogy. And I think there is a lot of Star Wars fans that feel that way. And that's not even representative here. So I don't know where he came up to this conclusion, but I think there is a lot of fans like me, but that's just my opinion on it. If you are like me, let me know that in the comments below. Are you a fan of the originals and the prequels, but not the sequel trilogy? That's where I fall into. But for now, I digress. By asking survey respondents a series of targeted questions that determine whether they demonstrated hostile sexism or benevolent sexism, White found that Star Wars: The Last Jedi disowners express more sexist beliefs than prequel skeptics and saga lovers. The Last Jedi disowners also reported more conservative politics and anti-PC sentiments than prequel skeptics and saga lovers. Okay, so this is where the politics become involved. So they're saying here, if you have conservative political beliefs, now I have conservative political beliefs, but Nobody cares about that. I don't even think it should even matter. That doesn't make you sexist. It really, really doesn't. So it says here, The Last Jedi disowners express more sexist beliefs than prequel skeptics and saga lovers. Sexism. And I don't even think the sexist part of Star Wars really came in until this movie, when Rian Johnson came out and said that you're sexist if you don't like this movie. I'm not a sexist. I'm not. I don't care if there's women in Star Wars movies. There's always been good female characters in Star Wars. I don't like bad female characters like Admiral Holdo and Rose Tico. They were horrible. Absolutely horribly written and created. They're not even in the same league as Princess Leia, Padme Amidala, just to name a few, and Ahsoka Tano. Not even close. They're just garbage written characters. So if I don't like them just because they're garbage written characters, that means that I'm sexist. Even though I like Princess Leia, Padme, and Ahsoka Tano. So is that what you're saying here? Anyway, I digress on that too. So it says here, it's worth noting that White frequently asserts his findings are by no means proof that everyone disliked Star Wars The Last Jedi is sexist. Okay, so he put that out there. But how did the sexist part even come up? I don't know. With a relatively small sample size of around 5,000, White's survey could never buy representative of the entire Star Wars fandom, and there are indeed many Star Wars The Last Jedi detractors who dislike the film for a whole lot of reasons that have nothing to do with sexism or anti-progressive attitudes. White does, however, believe that his findings are evidence of a positive correlation between disliking the Star Wars sequel trilogy and having sexist, conservative, and anti-PC beliefs among some fans. Arriving at the opinion that some of the backlash Star Wars The Last Jedi got was unwarranted, White concludes that because of their political beliefs, some Star Wars fans were predisposed to hate The Last Jedi. No, my political beliefs have always been consistent. They really, really have. And I went into Star Wars The Last Jedi really wanting to enjoy this movie. I wanted to go in because I wasn't a fan of The Force Awakens. And I was hoping that this movie would rectify Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, one thing that J.J. Abrams did get people excited about was, all right, Luke shows up right at the end. What's next? And so that's what I was really excited about, to see what happens with Luke. And Rian Johnson made Luke into a quitter and a bum. I was highly disappointed when I left out of the theater. It had nothing to do with my political beliefs. It had everything to do with making Luke a bad version of himself. Rian Johnson betrayed Luke Skywalker. Rian Johnson betrayed Star Wars. Rian Johnson betrayed George Lucas. So if anybody has a political agenda, it would be Kathleen Kennedy. She talked about her political beliefs when they were making The Force Awakens. She was going in with her feminism, SJW mindset from the beginning. It's out there. It's documented. And Kathleen Kennedy is not a Star Wars fan. She doesn't know anything about Star Wars. So she had a mindset of implementing her political beliefs on the movie. That's what she did. But me going in and watching the movie, I wasn't predisposed to hate The Last Jedi. I wasn't. Were you? I know I definitely was not. So this absolutely makes no sense. So if you have any conservative beliefs, this study pretty much says that you have tendencies of being a sexist. Now, if we go off of the Rotten Tomatoes score of The Last Jedi, It's sitting at a 44% with the audience. So that means that 56% of the respondents to Rotten Tomatoes were probably sexist. Now, one thing about this survey, or is he just talking about men, or is he talking about women? I need a lot more detail. I would actually have to look and analyze his work a little more. But I'm not buying that politics is the reason why fans didn't like The Last Jedi. I know people on different political sides, they didn't like The Last Jedi. I'm talking about liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans. They didn't like the movie. And it had nothing to do with their political beliefs. So if you're a Trump supporter, you know, according to Rian Johnson, you're a racist, you're a sexist. This poll here now, this survey, if you don't like the movie, you're probably a conservative that is sexist. I think this is absolutely just ridiculous. The movie was bad because Rian Johnson made a bad movie. It had nothing to do with political beliefs, you know? I can check my politics when I go to the movie theater. Like, for example, I like Spike Lee movies. Spike Lee is definitely on the other side of the political spectrum. He made BlacKkKlansman. BlacKkKlansman was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. And I don't have the same political beliefs as Spike Lee. Now, the end of BlacKkKlansman, the end credits stuff, that's a little different, but I digress on that. But I enjoyed the movie. Just because I have a different political belief doesn't mean that I can't enjoy a movie made by someone that is on a different side of the political spectrum. And obviously, Rian Johnson is on the other side of the political spectrum from me. You know, he has more SJW agendas. But the problem with The Last Jedi is he betrayed Star Wars. That is the reason. It has nothing to do with any political beliefs whatsoever. It just doesn't. Star Wars fans, we never put ourselves in a bag of being Republicans or Democrats. We were just Star Wars fans. We were never liberals and conservatives. We were just Star Wars fans. And now, in this era right now where everything is woke SJW, now you have to choose a side. If you're on the left, you're on one side. If you're on the right, you're on the other side, and you have to be enemies with each other. No. Rian Johnson just made a garbage, trash movie. So I wish they would stop coming out with these excuses as to why this movie was bad. So this survey just basically says that if you're on the right, you're racist. That's why you didn't like this movie. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. But that's just my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that this survey, political beliefs, is the reason why fans don't like Star Wars: The Last Jedi? Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. If you're new here to the channel, please hit subscribe to catch future videos from me, and we will catch you on the next video. John Matrixx, out.